Good afternoon. This is the Town of East Lyme Board of Selectmen notice of public hearing regarding an ordinance entitled Ordinance Establishing a Fair Rent Commission. We rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is a hybrid meeting, and Jason, if you wouldn't mind reading the notice.
Of course. Notice is hereby given of a public hearing to be held by the East Lyme Board of Selectmen at 12 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, August 20th, 2024, at the East Lyme Town Hall, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, as well as by Zoom, to consider the ordinance entitled Ordinance Establishing a Fair Rent Commission. Copies of the full text of the proposed ordinance are on file for the public inspection at the office of the East Lyme Town Clerk, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, and at eltownhall.com, to which reference may be had. Interested persons are invited to attend and be heard. Dated at East Lyme, Connecticut, on this 9th day of August 2024, East Lyme Board of Selectmen.
Thank you, Jason. And this is also by Zoom, so anyone who wants to participate, they have the link, they can participate by Zoom. Is there anyone that would like to address the board today? If you would approach the podium and just write your name and address and identify yourself for the record.
Hello, my name is Tanya Harris, and I live in Windward Village. And last time we were able to speak, I held a sign outside before I came in that stated housing is a human right. We should have the right to live somewhere that is affordable and accessible, and as of right now, Windward Village has neither. Housing should be a human right for all, not just a privilege for some. The elderly and disabled should not be thrown into Alpha's category of undesirable tenants. When Alpha Capital came in, it basically without enough notice, I was forced to sign a lease for rent I cannot afford because I could not find anywhere to go. And in 1 month from signing the lease, I was to pay $2,250. I looked around, but Connecticut has a shortage of affordable rental units for low-income families, and being on Social Security disability, I fall into that category. The day I stepped out of my car to help a mother and child in an accident I was in, and then I got run over by my own car by a 90-year-old man who drove into the accident scene. That forced me into this category, and I did not ask for it. High housing costs do not just impact those who cannot afford them. It truly affects our neighborhoods also. It is difficult to relocate, and housing insecurity can harm people's physical and mental health. If you have to spend more on housing, you spend less on goods and services in your community. As of right now, East Lyme tenants have no right to challenge a rent increase except in a town with a fair rent commission. In the absence of a fair rent commission, a tenant who refuses to accept an increase can either move, but where, or risk eviction by refusing to pay the higher rent. I am in this category. I gave them everything I had, and to them it is not enough. I have tried to negotiate the rent with Alpha, and the landlord came down to $2,000. I tried again and was told that is the lowest Alpha will go. I have tried many times to reach out to agencies. I am not disabled enough, and I am not poor enough for help. Now what? Do I get evicted? Does my child and I become homeless? And we heard last time that how many people are living in their cars and on the streets. When did money for Alpha Capital become more important than being humane? I have told them my story. I have told them I cannot pay, and they will not come to a reasonable rent. We all have a connection with our community and our neighborhood and our surroundings, and we invest in and care about our community. How can we continue to do that when all our money is going to Alpha Capital? I'm now being harassed. Just last week alone, I got 3 texts, 2 phone calls in regard to my past due amount and when I'm going to pay. I let them know that 3 texts and 2 phone calls is utter harassment. This is after I've already explained my situation and that I will pay as I can. On Alpha's website, it says the company works tirelessly to help their clients achieve their investment goals and network to find profitable investments. We have been labeled as undesirable tenants and now profitable investments. That is all they see, and we need you to help us show that we are neither of these things. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak at the hearing? Or
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I live at 468 Main Street in Wynwood Apartment,
And your, I'm sorry, your name?
24 Jean Church.
Thank you, Jean.
I don't want to leave. My lease is up in February. I've even looked at apartments. They're way over the amount, or it's 2.5 years. I have a special daughter who lives with me. She was very upset. Then they started calling me 2 or 3 times a day. Oh, we need to sit down with you. I says, don't want to sit with any liars. They have done nothing to update our area. It's a mess. You go down the back banisters, your hands stick to it. I don't know what kind of paint they use. I mean, you go down and then they look at you with that smile that you'd like to punch them. But I'm a woman and I have a little bit more decency. Why do we have to deal with this group? They are liars. They don't tell the truth. And they come and they make more disgusting messes with the carpets. They don't care. And then they were wondering what that place is that you unlock. Thank God we have our own keys. If anything happens and the elevators don't work, we can go through there. And then they were putting tape up onto the smoke alarms. And a friend of mine, she called the fire marshal. He came in, ripped them all off, and then they get mad and yell at him. He said, wait a minute, you don't go off and go to bed, and these poor people think they're safe? What is wrong with these people of today? But I hope that we get a deal from you people that we don't have to pay thousands of dollars to stay in an apartment. Thank you.
Was there anyone else who would like to address the board? Oh, I'm sorry, we're gonna unmute, we're gonna let someone go that's on the screen. Okay, where's the,
Lorraine Galvis,
okay?
can you hear us?
Yes. Hi, I can hear you.
All right.
We can hear you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for hosting this hearing. I found out about it within a few days, so I'm very fortunate to be able to participate. We are a military family. We've been in East Lyme for about 3 years. My husband is active duty with the Coast Guard, and we chose to live in East Lyme because of your wonderful school system. We're originally native New Yorkers, but we found East Lyme to be a wonderful town. We attend church at St. Agnes and St. Matthias. We've built some wonderful relationships with Father Greg and the different pastors and the different people here that are part of the church community. My son goes to Lily B. Haynes. He's going into the 2nd grade. We're tenants of the Sound and the Cove, which is right next to the Costco. And our rent has gone up every year that we've been here. Coming from New York, we are familiar with a lot of the affordable housing programs that New York offers, and we find that it has been more tenant-friendly. Coming to Connecticut, it's been very eye-opening how much tenants are not protected in this town. It seems that the rents can be very high and arbitrary for no reason, and there's no pressure on the landlords to improve housing conditions, to be courteous to tenants. utilities, are exorbitant, electric and water, and the landlords can just, they don't find the need to have any transparency. I'm an attorney by trade, so, I'm a bit of a research nerd and I look into these things, but primarily I love East Lyme. I agree with the initial two women who spoke. We don't want to move, but we have considered it because we have no idea how much our rent is going to be raised this year. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I got through breast cancer twice, and I want to live in a safe and wonderful place and raise my son and my family, and that is why we chose this town. I'd like to offer my expertise and my knowledge of affordable housing to help this community. I am also looking to stay right where I am. We love our home, we love where we live, but we don't see these landlords looking to talk with us, negotiate. We're a military family. We do not get any consideration or discounts for being on a military salary here, at least not at this complex. And I think that a housing commission could be very useful in voicing the concerns of both the community and also letting landlords know that, yes, this is your business, but you are also providing housing for the community. And the way that you conduct business and treat tenants directly affects the ability for our children to have access to great schools, have access to a church community. I am a product of affordable housing. And if we were not able to afford, if my mother who was a single mother, was not able to afford rent in the building where we lived in Manhattan, I would not have been able to have had access to some of the better schools in my neighborhood. And I was safer, and I lived in a reasonably nicer area because we had affordable housing programs, or we had access to affordable housing. So I think if we could bring some of those some of that access here to East Lyme, then that would allow our seniors, our veterans, our families, our community to stay and continue to help grow this community. I know a lot of people where I live that don't go out because they can't afford it. When I say go out, go out to eat pizza with their kids or do certain activities because the bulk of their income goes to their rent. And I think that that's concerning, and it raises eyebrows. And I don't want to leave East Lyme, and I think that finding out about this hearing was maybe God answering my prayers, because I really don't want to leave, but I don't know what else to do in order to get through to the landlords to help them understand that we cannot afford another rent raise. And if it's going to be a raise, it should be reasonable. It should be a nominal percentage. You cannot raise someone's rent more than 50% overnight and expect them to just know how to pay that. My mother is retired and she's on Social Security. She's on fixed income. And we have to take into consideration our disabled community, our veterans, our single mothers. I know a lot of single mothers that are in our community. Some are sisters living together just to be able to afford the rent here. One of our neighbors does that. So we have to really be sensitive to our community, and we have to let these landlords know, if you want to do business in this community, you have to be part of the community. You have to listen to the community, and you cannot be arbitrary and greedy, frankly, when raising the rents. There has to be a structure. There has to be a two-way street, Thank you for your time. Sorry if I took too much.
Do we have someone in the waiting room or no, right now, that wants to speak? Okay, then there was someone else here that wanted to speak. If you would identify yourself and your address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Tammy Algar. I live at 427 Shore Road in Old Lyme, Connecticut. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Sandy Brennan. She hopefully has her hearing aids turned down, but she is 85 years old and has attended all these meetings, and she would be living at Wynwood Village probably for the rest of her life. I cannot get a hold of these people to even negotiate a lease, which is up next month on the 30th. I've talked to two different people. They're asking for $600. My mother does not live on a subsidized rate right now. Half of her Social Security goes to her rent. There's absolutely no way that she could afford a $600 increase. I've offered them a 10% increase, saying that I could pay the 10% of what my mother needs. I moved my mother here 5 years ago from Stowe, Vermont, so she could be close to me. She cannot live in my house. I have stairs. We have her in 19 different apartment wait lists. They are saying anywhere between 2 and 6 years. My mother will be sitting at Windward until Tyler physically takes her out. And then that will become an issue. He does not know what he's doing. He is just charging this outrageous rent increase and thinking he can get away with it. I commend East Lyme for acting so quickly on this issue. You have this crowd here every single time you have a meeting. You have people that cannot move like my mother. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart from working hard for these people and my mother. And like I said, my mother will be there until they take her away physically. That's not going to be pretty because she's pretty feisty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, is there anyone else? Yes. Just please identify yourself for the record.
Hello, I'm Nick Menapace. I live on 38 Hope Street in Niantic. I'm just here to testify. I obviously don't live, I shouldn't say obviously, because I just said where I live. So I don't live at Windward Apartments, but I think this is a very good step in the right direction for this board. It is something that has obviously been a concern of many people for a long time, but it's great to see that you all are taking action on this and that you're doing it with the commitment that, yes, you do want to put your citizens before corporate interests, which is, I shouldn't ever say, but goes without saying, it's a good thing to do that. I would like to see us go, I wouldn't say further with this, but recognize that part of this is a problem born out of a necessity. There are a lot of limited options of what people can do if they're not living in, say, Windward Apartments or have found a place that has stable housing costs. We currently are seeing these increases happening for many smaller time landlords, people who rent from ones. We're also seeing, though, that the type of housing available for people is very limited, especially those who are on fixed incomes, because not all of them can afford to buy a new house. I've also know a lot of people who have sold their houses with the hopes of moving into a place like Windward, and when there's no control over that rent, it ends up being that it would have been cheaper for them to stay in that house, which may be difficult for them if they're older or disabled or any number of reasons. The other part I had wanted to ask, and I know this isn't something you're able to answer me right away, is a concern over the fine amount, really just some clarification. Right now, I believe it says it's between $25 and $100 a day. I wasn't sure if that was, though, for the entire complex or if it's per unit. Because my worry right there is if you're finding $100 a day for holding up the rent, or basically just hoping that they can evict these people, and it's a $100 a day for the entire place, and they pay that, I'm not sure that there's enough of disincentive for them, because they might just go, okay, well, we'll just wait out these people, and the longer we wait, we're only paying $100 a day for it. So I forgive me if I'm just misunderstanding where you are, and it is per unit, but that just might be a serious consideration that you'd have to look at for the fine amounts, because if there's not enough disincentive for them, then they might just ignore this whole process. Lastly, like I said, you guys are doing a great thing in trying to make that process get started. I do know that there's a lot of this that is going to be a bit out of your control. I'd like to have seen that we had some of our local reps. I understand it's in the middle of the day, so people weren't able to make it, but that support's going to need to come from the state government, and I hope that you guys will be just as open to working, with them on, possible state-level solutions as you are to working on this local one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address? Yes. And again, please, your name and address for the record.
My name is Laura Taglinetti. I live at 468 Windward Village. We've heard a lot from the elderly and disabled, and I want to represent the young professionals or the many people who fall outside of that category. And not emotional, but legal facts. When I did touch on some of this at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, but not all of it. When Windward first purchased the building, they gave us, we used to pay by paper check. Down in the lobby, put a paper check in the mail slot. Our new payment options are a certified check or a money order, which costs money to the tenants and extra work. We can pay by a debit card with a 10 extra dollars, a credit card with a 3% fee, or an e-check, which is linking your bank account to them. And I'd like you to, again, look at the majority of the people who live here. They don't pay by e-checks. And I know they cannot, that they cannot enforce that payment. We can send them a paper check, but when you tell an elderly group of people that that's what you're allowed to do, they don't know to look into this. I paid by an e-check because that was the only thing that didn't cost me extra money. And according to my lease, they need to receive my payment by the 10th of the month at 5 p.m. I scheduled it to drop on the 9th. I received confirmation of payment and a receipt of scheduling it. I received a receipt on the 9th. And on the 11th, I received a notice of that it was declined. And an hour later, I received a notice of the new rent collection policies that clearly stated if your rent was not received by the 10th, they would start the eviction process, which is a bully move because they cannot start evicting us other than to make a note in their computers. So I had to take a half a day out of my work day. I was out at a job meeting. This threw me off at my job. I had to go back to work, call the bank, and say, "Can you help me understand what I did wrong?" I missed one number in my account. I then had to take the time to, because I will not stand for anyone to be bullied, take the time to document all of the emails that I received from their app to say, I scheduled my payment, my payment was received, it was declined, an hour later we're going to threaten you with an eviction. And then here's my payment scheduled. And immediately, "Oh, we're so sorry that wasn't supposed to go out." Well, guess what? It did. And I'm 42 years old, and I'm a strong individual, and that upsets me. I mean, you think you can see I'm kind of super shaky about this. Can you imagine what that would have done to them? And then I talked about holding them accountable last time in regards to the fees they're incurring with the fire watch that they had to pay for, with the environmental cleanup, with the work they're doing without permits. That stands. I don't need to repeat that. I don't want them passing that on to the tenants. The other thing I want them to be held accountable for are the leases. I think everyone who's gotten up here has said that they've been harassed. They bought the building in June 17th, I think. Starting in July, I got 3 phone calls from them. I refused to pick up. According to my lease, I don't owe them notice that I'm leaving or staying until September 1st. Then they started sending me text messages. I got one. The following week, it was the Monday before the Board of Selectmen meeting, I get another one. And then on Tuesday, I get another one. Monday was the first I heard of what my rent was going to go, from $11.50 to $19.50 in a text message. And it's so upsetting. And I finally, I can't get this every day. So I sent them an email, and I said that I will let you know, per my lease agreement. I didn't attach my lease. I didn't tell them what my lease agreement was, because I was thinking, do some work. That I will let you know when I need to let you know. And under no circumstances will I communicate with you in a text message or a phone call about a legally binding document. It stopped. Until the Friday after the Board of Selectmen meeting. I get another phone call. "We watched the Board of Selectmen meeting. We want to talk to you about your rent." Again, you put it in paper. And then I get another text message on Wednesday afternoon that's asking me again, "Are you going to renew your rent?" So Wednesday evening, I sent them an email, and I said, apparently I need to reiterate what I've asked you to do already, because I've received another phone call and another text message. Under no circumstances am I discussing this with you. in a text message or a phone call. Put it in writing. The next morning, I get oh, we're so sorry. I'll tell all the management not to contact you again. So I say thank you. And again, I'm not talking about this in a phone call or a text message. Put it in writing. An hour later, I get a text message. We're sorry to inform you that upon your lease end date, we will not be offering you a renewal. I consider that retaliation. Please refer to your email. I get an email 10 minutes later with I left my phone over there so I wouldn't get distracted. But after much consideration, we will not be offering you a renewal. So they're saying, we thought about this, we talked about this, we're not going to offer you a renewal. And then I get a PDF document attached to it. That's all I wanted for my lease. Just put it in writing. This is all I wanted. I lost another day of work, and I bill hourly. I had to take a day on Friday and disengage, again, and also to do some work. And Saturday morning, I sat down, I did my research, and I sent them an email, another one. And I said, I think I need to follow up on Thursday, I did take my notice of non-renewal that did not have, it said we're not renewing for this reason, and that was left blank. And I sent it back to Rain, and I said, please, would you please clarify why you're not offering me a renewal? No response, nothing. Saturday, now I have some time to go through the emotions of this, do my research, and I sit down and I send them an email and say I want to follow up on a few legal issues here. My lease, which I left over there, says I need to give you 30 days, the first of the month, as my notice. No sooner than that. And it also requires that you give me 30 days written notice of a rent increase. I don't consider a text message a written notice. It's not, there's no link to my lease. And I said, and if you think that that's written notice, you gave me notice on Monday the 5th. And on Wednesday, 9 days later, you expected me to give you an answer. That's $9,600 extra a year. And I'm supposed to have found another place to live in that amount of time? And then I found information on retaliation. There are three reasons you're not allowed to retaliate against a tenant. One of them is any communication or complaints to a town official about the living conditions. I have documented emails with the building inspector about all of the life safety code violations that have been occurring through the renovations. The highly flammable material left in the stairwell, the appliances that were left sitting in front of fire stair exits from Monday evening when the work order stop was put in because they didn't have permits, to Thursday morning. And they weren't just in front of fire stair exits, they were in front of tenants' entry doors. Thankfully, not in front of any tenant who needs a walker or some sort of assistance. So I told them, I suggest you retract your notice of renewal and send me my proposed lease in writing. Yesterday morning, I received oh, we're so sorry, that wasn't supposed to go out. It went out, and again, I can handle myself fairly well. You can see how much this shook me up. Imagine anyone else getting this, and they would have spent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday trying to find another apartment to live in, and exactly, being kicked out of your home. So, I want this in place. I want this in place to hold them accountable. Because they're not following the law and the rules. And they think they can get away with it because they're bullies. And they're not used to coming at people that'll stand up to them. So that's what I have to offer. And I want to thank you all for your time. I know that this has been a lot of work on your end. I know how much work I've been doing on this. I know how much I know it's a lot of work. And I stopped to think on August 9th when you moved this to public hearing. We all met for the first time as a group on July 9th. 1 month later, between our movement and your movement, we're here. And I really, really appreciate this. So thank you for your work and your patience to listen to all of our stories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else would like to address? Yes, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Phyllis Lawrence. I have been living at Windward Village for 14 years and loved every moment of it. I am 84 years old, and I would like to say, despite our ages and our disabilities, we are all desirable.
Would you like, yes?
My name is Judy Pluff. I live at Windward Village, and I too love it. I brought a visual with me today. I know you see all the faces here, but I want everybody to see this is 27 of our tenants that may be living homeless, may be moving back with families, may be living in their cars. I don't know. I sold my house in 2003 because I didn't feel that I wanted to take care of a house living by myself. Moved to Windward Village. It was the best move I ever made. I will say one thing for the former owner. I think he was always fair with our rent increases. I don't have any complaints about that. But when Alpha took over, my anxiety levels are up to here. I'm like a mess. I'm a mess. And I thought, I'm going to be 77 on Saturday. And I thought at this time in my life, I'd be just kind of cruising through. I think it is inhumane what they're doing to us. I think money has become more important than people. And I don't know, I guess it's been coming for many years, but it's a terrible thing. We've all heard that money is the root of all evil. Well, I found out that's not the true saying. The Apostle Paul said, for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. So I don't know what we can do, but I think we need to keep trying, and I'm glad we have the support of everybody here. I wish we had never allowed Alpha Capital to come into our town. I wish someone had done some homework about what kind of company they were. They have also reached out to me with 2 texts and a voicemail on my phone. My lease isn't up until the end of January, but they want to know now. And they have no right to know now because, again, I only have to give them 30 days notice. The first text was, are you planning on renewing? The second text was, if you are, then we're raising your rent from $11.50 to $19.50. And the third voicemail was, you know that we're working on a case-by-case basis, and call us back, and maybe we can do something that will benefit you as well as benefiting us. I seriously doubt they're going to offer me anything that will. I'm not naive. I know that our rents go up. I know all rents go up. And I know landlords have things, costs to cover, tax increases or maintenance or whatever. But I don't think that we should be responsible because he paid $8.4 million for a building, that we have to be responsible to pay for that. I think most landlords, I would assume, they want to cover their costs and make a little profit. That's the way it works, I think. But this guy just wants to recoup everything so he can go buy another building. In a couple of years, he'll sell ours for what he has said he can get $14 million for. So I don't have a lot of use for them. They don't like me, and I'm not crazy about them. But I do appreciate what you're all doing, and I hope that we can get a fair rent commission in town. And as Nick said, we need more than that. I don't know what. I don't know all the legalities, but we're all in kind of a mess right now, and it's not the path that we want to be on right now, and it's just very sad for everyone. I really feel bad not just for me. And if I were to move, I don't know what I'm doing, but if I were, I would still fight for all of you because you're all worth it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Is it? Yes, go ahead.
I am Joshua Caskey. I live on One Grooms Way in East Lyme, Connecticut. And a common theme that you have heard today is people have tried looking for other places to live, but they have not been able to find other places to live. And this issue is a common theme in the entirety of Connecticut. It is a problem with affordable housing across the entire state. And the reason why these people have to deal with this situation is because of East Lyme and Connecticut's exclusionary zoning laws against affordable housing. This is why these people have to resort to sticking with a unreasonable landlord that increases rents to unreasonable amounts. And they have not been able to find other places because there aren't any other places that they can live in. All the other places are either full with 2 or 6 year waiting lists that you've heard today, or they're unreasonably priced, $2,000, $3,000 for an apartment. And that is just absurd. I have heard of an apartment complex in Groton that is 214 square feet per apartment. Alpha Capital owns it, and the rent for that is $1,400. That is absurd. That is why we need a fair rent commission in East Lyme. But further than that, we need to increase the amount of affordable housing that we have in East Lyme so that this issue does not happen again. Because if these people had other places to move, we would not have to deal with the stress, the anxiety, the harassment, and all of the other issues that Alpha Capital has brought to these very desirable people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the queue, Kevin? I couldn't. You were not good. Okay, so
Dan, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Is that okay?
please address.
And I forgot to write my name down.
Yeah, please do.
I read an article in the paper that there's a place going up in Mystic called Harbor Heights, I believe. And the reason it brought to my attention is because where we live, we have our apartments. We do have a little laundry room on each floor, 2 washers and 2 dryers that we pay for. And then we have an exercise room that's a little bigger than a closet. But other than that, there's no amenities other than the wonderful town we live in. We like that. So this place just lost it. Hang on. I'm old, so it takes me a while to do this. So this place is going to be charging between $2,000 and $3,000 a month, which is what ours is going to be basically. And but they're going to have a high-end gym, seasonal resort-style pool, fire pits, upgraded poolside lounge, furniture, outdoor cooking areas, and they're also going to have extra storage space and high-end finishes like granite countertops, nickel finishes, and glass backsplashes. So again, I don't know what the increase is for, other than, I mean, a normal increase would be okay, but what else are we getting for it? That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else? All right. If not, at this time, I would ask someone to move to close the public hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing.
Do I have
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. The public hearing portion of today's meeting is closed. We will then move immediately into.
Candace?
I'm sorry.
Was Candace up there too?
Yes, she is.
Yes, I'm an aye.
Okay, thanks,
Oh,
Candace.
thank you, Candace. I didn't mean to ignore you up there. Okay. So now we
I'm
will.
thankful for the Zoom option. Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to open the Town of East Lyme Board of Selectmen hybrid special meeting agenda of August 20th, 2024. This is immediately following the public hearing. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We've already recited the Pledge of Allegiance. First and only item on our agenda is discussion and possible action for a fair rent commission ordinance. So let's open it up to the panel for any discussion, concerns.
I'd like to move the following. Resolved to enact the ordinance entitled Establishment of Fair Rent Commission presented at the public hearing before the Board of Selectmen on August 20th, 2024. The effective date of this ordinance shall be 10 days after newspaper publication of the notice of its adoption.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds, so thank you. Let's open it up for discussion. You can start at your end. If you have any comment or not, that's fine too.
Well, I do believe, as many of our participants today have said, that this is a good first step, that this creates a venue for folks who don't have much power in the community to exert their needs and their will. I think it's incumbent upon us as town leaders to create a venue where people can work out their differences and give both sides a seat at the table and a place to discuss issues that doesn't feel out of balance, doesn't feel like someone's being harassed, doesn't feel like someone is operating under the threat of homelessness, because all of those things create a terrible imbalance and a terrible dynamic. So I endorse the creation of this ordinance 100% wholeheartedly. And I also want to go a step further and thank the citizens who came out today and at previous meetings and have done work behind the scenes to get this going. It's really important to not just the health of our community, but to the health of our democracy. And I hope once this ordinance passes and becomes part of our town governing system, that you all continue to be participating in the process, because you're good at it. And I appreciate it, so thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jason. Any comment? Any comment?
Yes, so I feel like it's been a long month for all of us. And I just want to say that, from the first time I heard about this, what really helped, I think, for the Board of Selectmen, me specifically, besides reading about it in the paper, is meeting with people, hearing the discussions. And I want to thank you for showing up, because a lot of time, we don't get a lot of guidance if no one comes to a meeting. And I want to thank you for standing up there and speaking, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of nerve and courage to get up there and speak. I also want to give kudos to Dan for really spearheading and getting this ordinance going forward. We all worked really hard on it, and I'm hoping that it will be fair not only to the tenants but also to landlords. It is not designed just to be for tenants, and I just want to make that clear, because I've had some phone calls on that. It is to really make it fair for everybody. That's one of the reasons that I'm part of the Board of Selectmen. I want to try to do good for the community, and that's all of East Lyme. But that's really, I think, all I need to say. But thank you.
Thank you, Ann. This is my first year in politics. I'm Don McKenzie. I've always had a problem with the pace of government. And running a business, decisions are made rather quickly. And because I was the CEO, we could make those decisions pretty quickly and make the best judgment we could and move with it. What has happened here, thanks to you, is that this happened very quickly because it's needed. It's not a guarantee. Okay, it's not a guarantee, but you have no idea how hard this team has worked in getting this thing through for you and for everybody. I was in the submarine service, and that is the best deterrent this country has, is a submarine, because they don't know we're out there. They do know we're out there. But a fair rent commission is going to be a deterrent for other guys coming in and trying to do this. Hopefully there will be some rules and guidelines that people have to follow or maybe not want to follow. And that's kind of what we want to address here. But I want to thank these guys for putting this together so quick, and your help too. Good job. And you know the rule. You can't leave yet. You did a great job with these guys. Thank you. We have Candace on the line. I didn't know if you wanted to had any comments, Candace.
I do. Thank you so much. So first and foremost, I wish I could be there with you today. I'm up in the north part of the state. So thank you for the Zoom option. I want to give kudos to each and every community member that's brought this forward, that really put it out there so that it was brought to the attention of the Board of Selectmen. As I said in the first meeting, that this is really an opportunity for East Lyme to set a tone here, and that big business isn't welcome here at the cost of our people. When I've listened to each and every person stand up today, and the emails that I've received, the calls that I've received, there is no doubt that there's a bullying effect here, and there is nothing worse than a bully. So I am so proud of you. Keep going, keep standing your ground, keep speaking truth to power, and I am 100% in favor of moving forward with a rent commission to have fairness. I have also gotten phone calls of concerns of almost is this a big brother type of situation, big government, and I could say wholeheartedly, absolutely not. But there is something very, very wrong with a big business coming in and forcing an unjustifiable rent increase in the fashion that these people have done. So setting the tone here that that's not something that we're looking for here in East Lyme, now is the time to do so that others take note that this isn't something that we want here. So again, I thank you very much, and I applaud you all for coming out, and I support you.
Thank you, Candy. Roseanne isn't here, couldn't be here today, but I guess that leaves me. First of all, I want to say it takes courage to speak truth to power. And everyone in this room did that. And so I want to thank you for bringing this to the attention of the board. We had an opportunity to do something that could serve the citizens of East Lyme, bring at least a sense of fairness for both tenants and landlords, as was pointed out. It isn't intended to be one-sided, but this will provide a forum for fairness and maybe some sense of comfort as we move over the next days and months to those that are in this room and others that live in this town. I want to thank the board for being so energetic and moving so quickly. I want to thank Ann Chicello for her wonderful assistance and helping to come up with the ordinance itself. We were under time pressure. I could not have done it. We're both attorneys, but I certainly could not have done it alone. We're acting as selectmen. We had it reviewed by the town attorneys, but certainly that skill and experience helped us to move this forward in an efficient way. So thank you, Ann. I mean that with all sincerity. So, thank you again. I have nothing further to add except to ask for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Hearing none, motion passes. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We're adjourned. Good luck, everyone.
Two.